I certainly appreciate everybody being here. It's an exciting day, obviously, for our program, and thank you very much to everyone. It's practice is underway. It doesn't feel like it out there right now, but we're in the middle of it. We're 10 days away, and I'm extremely impressed at the shape our guys are in right now physically. Tim Contes, our strength conditioning coach, our assistant coaches, our training department has got our guys in fabulous shape, and they're physically they're ready to go. Physically, we're ready to go. This time of year, you always worry about reps, and one of the reps you worry about is the mental reps too, putting them in situations to not only get their at bats and get their physical timing down and reps, but also for them to start thinking about putting at bats together, what their role is with the team, how the lineup needs to flow. You don't always necessarily know that you're going to get that this time of year, and the guys are working hard to do that. But certainly excited about the start of the season, and I'm certainly excited with the work that the guys have put in throughout this whole year so far. They've been absolutely fabulous.
Has there been an increase, not increased, I guess, but a different mindset entering this season from the guys in the clubhouse? Maybe a little bit more confidence, maybe some positive swagger that you've seen based on last year's run?
Yeah, I don't know if it's a mindset difference. I think that they are, yes, I think they have a little bit more confidence in what they're doing and maybe a little bit more, I don't want to say buy-in either, but they seem to be going about their day-to-day practices very workmanlike. They understand what the pot of gold is, I think, a little bit more at the end of the rainbow, and what they're doing is part of the step to get there. So definitely they're more relaxed too. They're more relaxed, and I don't know if that is confidence that is coming out in that relaxation, but they just seem to be very, very relaxed and understand what they need to do and what's got to happen, and so far they've been very good at it.
Was there any concern coming in that some of the guys were still relishing on last year's success?
No, I don't think so. We don't talk about last year very much, to be quite honest with you, and we've had the same approach, long before I was a head coach here, of a very workmanlike mentality here, and that's the way we go about it. And those guys know to get in the lineup, there's certain things that you have to do that go far beyond batting average and ERA to play here. So they have a very workmanlike attitude, and I don't think last year impacts or is going to cloud their vision from that standpoint. And I certainly hope not, and I hope I'm saying the same thing 20 games from now. But so far they seem to have the right mentality.
Obviously, pitching.
Shawn Thompson just a second ago, and he's going to be your guy going into this season. What has he done this offseason to improve upon what he did last year and solidify his role and his position as the leader of the bullpen and the starting rotation?
Well, just through subtraction, he became, he's literally the only guy at returns that had starts last year. But Shawn, he's extremely mature for, even as a freshman, he's extremely mature for his age. He does an unbelievable job of preparing himself. He spent the whole summer literally putting on about 25 pounds in the weight room. One of the things that he felt like leaving last year, after the 65th game, was he was a little bit tired. And that's normal for a freshman. So Shawn spent the summer in the weight room. He didn't go out and play in summer school, and has really prepared himself to be the guy this year. He wants that, but I don't think it's not a standpoint that he cares if it's Friday night, Saturday night, or Sunday. He just wants to be the guy that the pitchers can look to and lean on, like he did last year with so many of our senior pitchers. And you can really, really tell the way he goes about his catch play, the way he goes about his bullpen routines, physically get himself in shape. He just has the right mentality, and if he can continue on this, his future's very bright, regardless if, he wins 10 games this year or 5. That's not the point, but Shawn's a leader regardless.
Given that you've lost so much of your pitching staff, what's realistic?
I hate to put – we're very, very pleased with the talent that we have on the pitching staff side. It's just they haven't thrown much for us. And we have some very, very talented young freshman arms in the junior college pitchers who have transferred in, have done an unbelievable job of picking up our system and working with Coach A on what they need to do. I'm not going to put an expectation on the club. Our expectation is to get better every day and to play our best baseball in May, regardless if we have 15 wins at that time or we have 35 wins at that time. We need to be prepared to continue to get better, and those guys need to continue to develop. It's not just about being good this year or last year. It's about this program continuing to move forward, and that's not always necessarily finishing up, in a super regional. It's everybody that's in this program getting better at what they do, whether it be a transfer pitcher or a transfer position player or the head coach. We need to continue to push forward, and where that ends up is, we'll see then. But from an expectation standpoint, I will say this: we chart everything. We chart everything throughout our inter squads and throughout our practices, and the pitching numbers that we really focus on, we are ahead of where we were at this point last year. So I don't know if that means anything, because we had a lot of experience, but I'm certainly pleased with where we're at right now.
You only lose. Go ahead, Shawn.
Sorry, going back to Shawn, the fact that last year he saw time, significant time in very important situations, how invaluable was that for him going into the season and not being the normal freshman to
Sure.
sophomore transition?
Yeah, I think that's invaluable. Shawn was on the mound in a winner's bracket game in the A-10 championship, and he was also on the mound literally in the regional championship game, and pitched some unbelievably big games for us last year. So I don't think Shawn's one of those kids. He's really cool. I got to be honest with you. I mean, he is a super kid to be around, and I don't think things like that. The moment that never seems too big for him. So I think he's picked up experiences on it. The biggest thing for me is I think he's understood that you don't have to throw the baseball 100 mile an hour. You don't have to have the nastiest slider. You need to go out there and pitch your game and be yourself, and you have a chance to win baseball games. And hopefully that's what he's picked up from there.
You only lose one guy from your lineup, but it is a guy that led your team in batting average, hits, doubles, and RBI. With that said, having all those other guys back around him and some guys that played key roles make that a little bit easier to swallow that holes are going to get filled.
Yeah, it's the biggest thing that I'm going to miss from a player like Be My Own Machine was not his numbers, but his leadership. You can't replace people. You can try to replace numbers, but you can't replace people. But I'm excited for whoever the next person's going to be that picks that up. And I think you saw a few guys here in Logan Farrar, James Bunn, obviously Matt Davis, Jimmy Kerrigan. The list goes on with those guys. V did lead us in a lot of offensive categories, but he was surrounded by some pretty good offensive players who were getting on base and getting him pitches to hit at the same time. And I think that you'll see is all these guys have progressed. They've all gotten better at their game. They've all matured physically. I think we'll be able to find those numbers in a different combination than maybe just one player.
Going off that, when you look at the roles that a bunch of these guys had in the lineup and having all those guys in the same spots, does it just make it easier for you as a head coach to find that one guy that can fit his role, knowing there's only one guy you have to fill in for?
Absolutely not. we have about 4 or 5 guys here who are really pushing for not just that spot, but the way we could shift the lineup up to put a spot. And we have some great competition going on. And you also got roles that people don't think about too. The left-handed versus right-handed DH role, and the first guy is going to come off the bench as a pitch runner late in the game, and the first guy is going to be a defensive replacement. And so there's a lot of competition for maybe not necessarily that top 7 or 8 core guys, but everywhere up and down the lineup. And also, you win and you go deep into the postseason because you have depth. And we're not going to be. It'd be very unlikely if we didn't suffer some type of injury this year. And so the competition continues. For who that next guy up's going to be. So it has not been. You're not just replacing one guy. You're trying to figure out as quickly as possible the combination of people that make you the best baseball team. And to be quite honest with you, I'm not sure I figured that out last year until about Game 40. And I'm hoping I do a better job this year figuring that out, and I think we will because we have so many guys returning. But that's really what we're kind of looking at now. And sometimes when you only got one spot to fill, it's a little bit tougher because it's you got to make sure you make the right choice.
Coach, from a building a program perspective, how important? I know you don't want to elaborate on last year too much, but how important is that to make that kind of the building block and not just the flash in the pan? I'm not saying you have to get to Omaha every year, but to start a string of success where that becomes hey, that's where it all started.
Sure. No, I think it's very vital, and I think you want to use things always to springboard your program. Obviously postseason play is not unfamiliar to this program. We've been in plenty of postseasons before, and we have several championships, to show that. But, and again, I think there can still be growth in the program, and the program will continue to grow and be successful without necessarily an NCAA postseason run this year. And that's, believe me, that's not my goal. I certainly want to be, playing where we were last year. But again, I think there's, when you're looking at a program to sustain, it's very important to me that we show consistent growth in our program. And sometimes that ends up in a super regional, and sometimes it ends up losing in a championship game in the Atlantic 10. I thought we had a very good team in 2014 that didn't make the postseason. So continuing to grow, for continuing our kids to understand what it takes to be champions, our guys understand what day-to-day work looks like, classroom and academic growth, community service growth, making a bigger impact in the Richmond community. And I want to see more Ram fans out there. I think if our program's growing, we'll see more fans in the stands. That's something that's big to me as well. And so sending more guys on the Pro Bowl, and those are all growths for me, consistent growth. But you obviously the run last year to kind of springboard your recruiting and continue, but you got to have some luck too. We were healthy last year at the right time, and that plays a big role in it too.
You mentioned being recruiting. Can you just kind of elaborate on how that kind of helps sitting in a kid's living room now that you have this to point to?
Well, I think you have an opportunity to look up, and it's not necessarily when we're looking at recruiting. It's not just necessarily about our program. There's a Final Four run not too long ago. There's a basketball team that plays just about every game on national television. There is a top, year in and year out, a top 25 tennis, golf, soccer program. It's not just, there's a lot of things to sell. This university, this city, our facilities, the degree you're going to get out of this place. So for me, yes, the super regional certainly helps, but it's a small piece. I got to be honest with you. There's 25 million reasons across the street why, to want to come to VCU just from the commitment that our athletic department is putting into each program. I mean, you don't have to look very far to see that this athletic department is here to develop young people and to win championships. And so it's very easy to walk into a young man's house and living room right now and say, hey, look, we have exactly what you're looking for. And so, but having a super regional ring on helps too.
For you personally, what did you learn about yourself as a coach last year, and how can you implement that this season?
I probably learned more, last year about myself than what these young men probably learned. There's a lot of questions to the players. What did you guys learn? And I made many more mistakes than they did. And the biggest thing for me is just that our process is working. And we need to continue to stick to it. And nobody probably gets more frustrated at times than I do with it, as a head coach, is you want to see the work that your team is putting in come out and wins. And early on last year, that didn't happen. And to be patient, to stick to the process, to trust those things, and to let your kids play. That was one thing that I really, really learned is step back. It really does come down to your kids. It comes down to your players. Get out of their way and let those guys impact the game, And so, those lessons are, there's a long list of things I did wrong last year and things I'll do wrong this year. But certainly a run like last year and learning from other coaches and seeing other teams. And, it's certainly something I look forward to using this year.
It seemed like part of the formula was playing those non-conference heavy hitters at the beginning of the season to get you ready for the postseason.
Yeah.
It seemed like, listening to Logan, that it seemed like they got it.
Yeah.
This is the reason why we're playing the UVAs and the Marylands and the Georgia Techs to get ready for postseason. Did you get the sense that, during that run that they did get what I was trying to do early in the season?
Yeah, it helps. That's going to be a philosophy. That was a philosophy of this program well before I ever got here, and to play good people and to play good people early. We expect to go into the NCAA postseason, and when to do that, we need to put our kids into regional type atmospheres as much as we can. And the other thing is I think we learned also to beat those teams, you're going to beat them 3-2, 4-1. They're not going to be a mid-major's probably not going to beat those teams 8-6, you know, and so we had to learn how to play close ball games, and where every little mistake, any ball we didn't block, any ball that tipped off the catcher's mitt, any leadoff walk, where that could absolutely crush you and cost you the game, we had to, you know, those are things you have to learn and learn the value of them. They get lost in the game that's 10-8, you know, but when you're playing them 3-1, I really felt like when we went down to Texas last year and we went into that regional, we understood the value of every pitch and every play and every out. And so for me, I think that is why you want to put your people in those types of settings early on and understand is this is exactly how the game is going to go if we want to beat people that are in the top 25. You're not going to blow them out. And so, you know, and I hope it helps, and I hope our guys understand what we're doing. And I think our February this year is the toughest February we may have ever scheduled. You know, between those three teams in Atlanta and Maryland coming in here, and then we go down to UNC Wilmington, and obviously their preseason pick to win the CAA. It's going to be quite a challenge for us early on here. So hopefully that prepares us. Hopefully our guys weather that storm. We play well, and it prepares us for conference play.
Obviously, you want to be playing your best ball in May, but what is the key for us right now to kind of get off to a good start here?
Just, you know what, just, you know, really just being ourselves. Don't make the moment bigger than it is. You know, just because again, that's why last year doesn't count anymore. You know, because there's going to be a first pitch thrown this year, and if you're trying to do more with it than what you're capable of, if you're trying to do more than what the team needs you to do, it's just really about us being ourselves and being ready to go. And we've done a really good job of that the last couple of years. Pitchers have been ready to go. Offensively last year was a tough beginning part of the year with the weather to be ready to go. But hopefully, you know, we've had some decent reps this year. And just if the guys just need to have a very clear understanding of what their role is for the team. And if they do that, we'll be fine during that stretch. Guys, thank you.